the most interesting person in the room is the most interested person in the room. And if you're interested in people, people will find you interesting. It's one of those like weird paradoxes where you give what you want to get kind of thing. Not that you're going in to get, it's like you're going in just because you genuinely are interested. Like it's got to be sincere. You can't kind of trick yourself and be like, I'm going to be really interested and then people are going to love me. It's like you need to just like deal with your own insecurities and then go in and just genuinely be curious. And then people are like, oh my God, who is that person?
Hello and welcome to Delusional. I am your host, Michelle Coyle. I am here with my Australian bestie, Kylie Ryan. Kylie, please introduce yourself to all these crazy people.
Hi, y'all. I'm here in Texas, so I can say that right now. Hey, you guys. I'm Kylie, and I am raising the consciousness of humanity.
Single-handedly, pretty much. Kylie, one of my favorite people, and I was just in Texas with you. I've been joking all week that she met me halfway. She flew from Sydney. I flew from Washington, D.C., so... Just so y'all get the joke, she came 16 hours and I came 3. And then we got to hang out in Austin all week with some of our fun coach friends. So while we're fresh, we just figured we would share with you some of the shit we have been talking about all week amongst ourselves in our little WhatsApp.
On the couch over there.
Yeah, we were like, you know what? This might benefit other people to hear because we're arrogant enough to believe that. So we're going to hit record and just do a podcast.
Absolutely. Let the world hear our pearls of wisdom.
That's right. We have been talking lately about entering our wisdom years and our crone years and getting wise. And I want to talk all about that today. But before we do, I want you to give a little bit of background on you and how you became the best coach in the whole world. Can you tell us your story? They can't see you on the audio when you're, I was at the radio, how old am I? They can't see you on the audio when you're doing that.
Oh, I've got a face for radio. Oh my goodness. Okay, so how did I become the best coach in the world? One of my good friends and clients also just confirmed that to me, which is very nice. It's very humbling. So it's very nice to hear you, who has been my client and is now my friend, saying that, and also my friend Alex Schaffen, who has been a client and now friend, saying that. Because I don't like to say those kinds of things about myself, because in Australia you would be called a wanker if if you say that about yourself. So I prefer to let other people say that. And I'm like, really, the best? Oh my God, I'm so honored.
That's why I'm saying it for you. Yeah.
Saying it for me, yeah. So thanks for saying it for me, Michelle. I appreciate it. And okay, so how did I get here? Well, I've been coaching now for 23 years. And unlike many coaches who come into coaching, like kind of the standard way to come into coaching these days is to achieve something yourself and then start telling other people how to do it and call yourself a coach and then figure out how to coach along the way. I kind of did it the other way, which is more, I guess, the education route. And so one of my dear friends and mentors, so I was in my early 20s. I was only 22 at the time when she was my singing teacher. And she started studying NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, for those who are unaware, although any listeners of Michelle's podcast probably already know. So she started studying NLP, and I had a big audition coming up. And she said, hey, let me try out this NLP thing on you. And we started doing a couple of sessions, and we start with a like detailed personal history, which is like the standard way to enter an NLP, kind of process. And then we did a timeline therapy process on one of my like core beliefs. And I swear to God, oh my God, there's a little squirrel going past the window.
Oh my God. Can I just interject and say Kylie is obsessed with squirrels because apparently they don't like have them in Australia, even though they have all kinds of other wildlife. And like the whole time I was with her this week, she was like literally stopping for every squirrel.
It was
hilarious.
It's just running across the line in front of me. So I'm
hilarious.
Oh.
And it's fine that we pause because I want to back up anyway. You're leaving out very interesting parts of your story. You like grew up on a farm and then you were a nightclub singer.
I did. That's a part of the story. Yeah. So I grew up on a farm. This is funny because it's like I grew up on a farm and I was a singer before I was a nightclub singer. And so um, I learned about breath work through singing because you can't sing a damn if you can't breathe really well and breathe consciously. And so when I was a little kid, I trained to be an opera singer. And I'm a soprano, you know, I can do the those kind of ones.
I can't do it. I didn't stop trying.
I'm a bit out of practice now. But so I learned to breathe and I learned breath work there. And I didn't realize that I was really learning breath work. I was learning singing. And so, you know, I learned a lot with singing and about confidence and stage presence and kind of holding attention and holding presence and kind of holding your core and all of those kind of things that later have served me well as a coach. And I also was like growing up on a farm. I grew up horse riding and like climbing trees and stuff like that. And we had 5 acres when I was in primary school, and then we moved to a larger farm that had 30 acres and a lot of land, a lot of horses, a lot of dogs, a few cats. And my father was at the time a chef, and we moved to this bigger place that had a function center on it. So I also became like the unofficial maitre d' type of person where I was like hostessing the people into the weddings. Like we would have weddings at our house, which, I mean, not just our house, it was like a function center attached to our house. So we would go into the function center part and I would host people coming in. And so I had this kind of unusual set of skills that not many people learn these skills in their childhood of like, you know, how to hold your spine straight and like ride a horse well, and sing and kind of host people. And so I kind of learned all this as a child. And then in my 20s,
talking about that, I'm like, man, you would have made an amazing like medieval lady or like Victorian, like horse riding, hostessing, singing. Like you're very accomplished in all the medieval lady arts.
I do have a bit of a medieval lady vibe. I also, like, I did a brief stint. This is funny. I haven't thought of this in years. I did a brief stint of vaulting, which is like gymnastics on horseback, where you like stand on the back of the horse while it's cantering around and you do all this like gymnastics kind of ballet type things on the back of a horse, which is wild and dangerous.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Terrifying, but that was good fun. So I did that for a little bit, and then oh my God, I'm so distracted by this squirrel. Sorry, I'm focused. Blinkers, Kylie, blinkers.
Our American audience does not understand why squirrels are fascinating to you. We have 1 million squirrels per square mile.
She tells. We've got possums, but we don't have squirrels the same. So they're just like really cute. Anyway, yeah, so the medieval lady arts, I am well versed in the medieval lady arts and lots of reading because we had a lot of time alone on the farm. My mum worked looking after the horses and my dad worked really long hours running restaurants. And so my sister and I had long hours alone. And so I read like crazy amounts of books, and books that were far too advanced for my age, to the point where my teachers actually called my mum and were like, hey, do you realize that your 12-year-old daughter is reading Clan of the Cave Bear? Like,
you know what's fucked up? I knew that was the exact book you were talking about, with Ayla and John Duller and
and those
also gave me those books when I was a child, and that was like my first exposure to certain sexual things. You know, it sounds so quaint now because all the kids like have porn by the time they're 12 or whatever. But for us, if you guys don't know about these books, they were like these epic cave person books, and they have caveman sex. And for a 12-year-old, I was like, what?
Wild. But then now when I look back at it, right, it's like this kind of Neanderthals, and like it was back in like the Ice Ages and stuff. It's kind of fictional, semi-historical story. But when I reflect on it now, Michelle, like there was also shamanism, there was healing, there was like all this kind of displacement and like different cultures. And it was like, there's so many things that I'm like, oh, that really was
All
quite
I
an
remember is the cave people sex, so you're a better person than I am.
there was some very racy sex scenes in there. Anyway, especially as the books got on, like the third and fourth books, they was some wild stuff.
She knew what her selling point was when she was writing those books.
She knew. It's like way before Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Shades of Man.
Yeah. 50 Shades of Cave.
Okay. Amen. So there was that as well in terms of the medieval lady arts. And so then, that's so funny. And so then,
wait, I'm going to help you. This is why you can't podcast with your best friends, people. You just get silly. I'm going to help you, Kylie. At some point, you got fat and had to lose weight, which is something I identify with very strongly.
I did get fat and I had to lose weight. So yeah, so when I hit puberty and my parents were going through a divorce, that's my one score on the ACEs. On the ACEs score, I got 1 point on ACEs, which is the Adverse Childhood Experiences score. So I've got 1 point for divorce, and so that point led me to put on a whole bunch of weight and emotional eat myself through puberty, and I got very curvy and I'm one of those kind of body types where I kind of put it on all over. And so I didn't really realize that I was getting overweight until I got really overweight. And then my dad started dating this new woman. And so then we had this like blended family. And then I was like, you guys, this is all a whole lot too much for me. And so at 18, I like got the hell out of there. Not that there was anything, I love my parents. It's great. They were great, blah, blah, blah. But I needed to get out of there. And so I went traveling, and then I went traveling around Europe, and oh my God, I put on so much more weight because I was drinking Bailey's Irish cream like it was milk. That shit is like, it's just like slapping some cellulite right there on your thighs. It's delicious, but very like, it's like drinking a cup of fat basically. But anyway, it should be in very small doses. So I drank all of that and had a lovely time, but, came back almost like 100 kilos. What is that in pounds? I don't know. I'm bad at it.
I don't know.
It's a lot. But anyway, so now I'm 60 kilos. So it's like I lost 40 kilos from my heaviest.
You lost like almost half yourself.
I lost almost half myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely had that period where I was like in my like late teens, early 20s, traveling, very big girl, very vivacious, kind of bubbly, life of the party. I also had short, spiky, bright red lesbian hair, which was like glorious for me at the time. So I was like really overweight and really short, spiky hair. So that was a fun time. And I had a lovely time in Europe. But then I was like, you know what? I probably need to do something about this weight business.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, Kylie is not actually a lesbian. You're not actually gay.
I'm not actually technically gay.
You were culturally appropriating gay hair.
I had gay hair. Like I love ladies and I have a lot of love for the gay community, but I am technically a heterosexual woman, married.
You don't have to apologize for being straight either.
Do I need to apologize for being straight?
No. It's okay to be straight.
Am I allowed?
You're allowed.
A straight cis white woman that has occasionally, broken the heart of a lesbian lady from singing on stage. I did a stint singing on stages. I did a lot of singing in gay clubs, which was fun.
Yeah.
Mostly because queer spaces, I find, are the best spaces to hang out in because they're so fun and inclusive and lovely and everybody's just so wonderful. So like big love. But yes, that was my gay haircut. And then I lost all that weight. I didn't actually. I started losing weight by going to the gym and I lost a little bit, but I couldn't quite figure it out because I still had all these like mindset blocks and stuff. And so the NLP then shifted this core belief. And my first core belief that I shifted was, it's a doozy. You want to hear it?
I do. Wait. First, tell people listening what a core belief is, what you mean by that, because not everybody is all versed in all of this stuff.
Good point. Okay, so a core belief is like a belief that is very kind of deep in your unconscious, that has been influenced in multiple ways and like in a very significant event, and it becomes a very kind of personality shaping, conditioning, I guess, anchor to your personality. And so yes, I had this core belief that was a generational belief, so something that I had kind of internalized or made meaning about from my mother and my grandmother on both sides and my great grandmothers. And so I had this belief that no matter how strong, because all of the women in my family are really strong, powerful, kind of go-getter type of women. So I had this belief, no matter how strong you are, a man will always abuse you.
Ooh.
Fun times, right?
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that I've been blessed to not experience any like major abuse in my own life, but in the history,
Right.
Psychological, sexual, financial, blah, 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 blah. And so we cleared this belief, and then a whole bunch of other beliefs in my NLP sessions with my singing teacher that became my coach. And in the year after doing that NLP transformation work, my whole freaking life changed. I like lost 30 kilos, which is 66 pounds. So I'd like lost 10 and got down to like 90 kilos. And then I lost the other 30 in a very short space of time in the scheme of weight loss, like a few months really, through like very healthy eating and very kind of intense, dedicated exercise. And I got myself out of debt and I started studying NLP because I was like, what the hell is this magic? I need to learn all about it. And I started singing professionally, and I met the man who is now my husband. And what else? I like got out of debt, lost the weight, found my husband, and like sorted my money stuff out and kind of got onto my like career dharma path.
Well,
Not
and
too bad. Not too
no,
bad for a
that's not
result.
too bad. And I want to highlight here, and you can tell us this as the best coach in the world. What was it about shifting that core belief and certain other beliefs that then allowed you to very quickly change your life in multiple aspects?
Yeah. What a great question. Well, it's like the belief was causing me to unconsciously want to protect myself from being in a relationship. So I was like in my early 20s, and right at the time when one should be dating and not should, but like lots of people are going out dating and partying and having like romantic experiences and kind of living life to the full. I was even though I was the life of the party, I never really kind of connected in that way. And I was like very much shielding myself from any kind of serious relationship. And so I was also, that was the other thing. I was also like sleeping around and like taking drugs and drinking too much and all of those things that go along with partying often when you're using them to numb yourself, basically. And so, yeah, I stopped all of that, all of the kind of party stuff. But yeah, it was like I was trying to protect myself from being in a relationship because I believed that being in a relationship would lead to abuse. So like that was the like line of logic that my unconscious was protecting me from. And it's like, hey, if you're really overweight, you won't have a problem with people hitting on you and trying to like be your boyfriend because they'll just kind of pass you by. You'll become invisible.
Which, by the way, is so. I gotta interject
Which
because
is
that's
also not true.
it's not true, and it's a common one we hear. It's one I've processed through myself in my own life too. It is not true at all. I can tell you,
Not
as somebody
true.
who has been quite overweight, you've been quite overweight. I've been obese to the morbidly obese at some point. Nobody ever stopped hitting on me that whole time.
That's true.
And I have many obese and morbidly obese friends, and they get hit on,
All the time.
and there's abuse that comes with that, and people are nastier in certain ways, and all this. If anything, it's almost like the way men treat you is worse.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point, because it's like the thing about these kind of unconscious beliefs that are protective is that it's like your unconscious thinks it's protecting you, but actually it's not necessarily protecting you, and it doesn't even necessarily make sense. But it's like I was overeating, I was emotional eating, and there was this kind of level of like, like layers of protection, I guess,
Right.
that I had on. And it was kind of an excuse as well for me to be able to say to myself and rationalize to myself, well, that one night stand that I had, well, of course they didn't call me because I'm fat, and so it's like it was a dumb cyclical rationalization that I had with myself, and it was a kind of an expression in many ways of some version of self-loathing that was kind of coming on. That was my version of it, and I know different people have different versions of it. And so that was my experience. And so when I shifted this belief, and started kind of shifting like anger, sadness, fear, started kind of clearing the gestalts of emotional baggage that we all carry. A gestalt is like a series of different emotions that we kind of string together in like a filing cabinet, I guess. And so I started like cleaning that up. And as I released my emotional weight, I was able to then more easily make healthier choices for myself. And it wasn't like I was willpowering myself to do it. I just naturally wanted to make better choices for myself because I was feeling better about myself, and I wasn't needing to kind of cope or mask or, defend myself or numb out in different ways. So I just kind of naturally started making better choices and being more courageous in how I was showing up. And then like all these kind of series of positive things started happening. I'm like, oh shit, this is really cool. I like, okay, this is good. Let's just stay on this train. And so I did. And so I kind of got quite obsessed. I'm very nerdy. Like I was the nerdy girl in class in school. And it's sad actually. By being here, it just kind of happened that I accidentally like missed my high school 30-year reunion, which is sad, but I'm sure they'll have another reunion and I'll be able to go to that. But I was the nerdy girl in class that was always like, asking the teacher questions, and I was in all the school musicals and like that kind of nerdy girl. And so I continued to be nerdy after school. And while I was in university, I studied a communications degree. And then I just did all of these like vocational certificates in coaching and NLP and meta coaching, and then all the weird mystical ones like auric healing and energetic healing and DNA activation and matrix therapies and all these like weird named mystical esoteric healing kind of modalities. And through that process, like every time you learn something like that, you go through the process, right? So it's like you go through the process of transforming. And so that was fun. And so I just like, I was really committed to mastery from the beginning. And then I kind of people started asking me, oh my God, you've lost all this weight and now you're like glowing and happy and you've changed a lot. Like, what did you do? And so I kind of almost accidentally started a coaching business doing what weight loss mindset was kind of my niche. And I ended up kind of working for 10 years, like in the day, coaching women around weight loss mindset. And then in the night, going out nightclub singer and singing with DJs and bands and freestyling to house music, because at that time, Sydney had a really good nightlife. It tanked its nightlife because of government regulations and blah, 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 and COVID and all sorts of things. But at that time, it was a really cool, happening place to be. And there was lots of like super clubs and lots of bars and nightclubs. And there was like lots of fun times were had by all. And that was really fun. So that was a really good period of my life in my 20s when I was doing both of those kind of things, like my daytime coaching and my nighttime singing. And my husband would wait for me, and I would like roll in at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Aww. And my hair would smell like cigarettes because people were like smoke back then, and I would have a shower and wash my hair and then get to bed with wet hair. He'd be like, "Hey, honey, how was your gig?" And I'd be like, "It was good. Okay, let's go to sleep now."
Aw.
Which is sweet. So he spent a lot of time waiting for me doing things. So
Good practice for the rest of his life. And
good practice. He's waiting for me right now. No, he's doing his own work and looking after our kids while I'm here in Austin. So I'm heading home tomorrow, I'm looking forward to seeing my family, which is nice. So that was the first bit. So I guess the coach question is like, I learned and I practiced, and eventually along the way I started figuring out some business stuff, but I didn't start with the business stuff. I started with the skill mastery.
You're my very favorite kind of entrepreneur to work with too, of like somebody that's amazing at what they do, but maybe needs a little bit of help on the business side. Cause I won't even work with people if I don't think they're amazing at what they do. Like I'm not interested in helping somebody like scale mediocrity. That sounded really bitchy, but it's the truth.
God, there's so much scaling of mediocrity.
There's
It's
a lot of
rampant.
scaling of mediocrity going on, especially in the coaching business. Like if we want to get into it, you know, what happened and what we saw happen, especially over the last 10 years and like really peaking in the last 5 years was it wasn't the best coaches that were getting famous and blowing up. It was the people that were the best marketers. And like, that is not to take away anything from people who are amazing online marketers, because that's not easy. And that's a skill and you've got to learn it and practice it and everything else. And if you're somebody that's an amazing online marketer and you're teaching other people how to do online marketing, like amazing. I have no problem with that. That's fully in integrity. But we saw something different, which is we saw the people that were the best online marketers conflating that with being the best coaches, which is very rarely, if ever, is ever true. And people were referring to all kinds of, you know, consulting, training, whatever as coaching. And it all got really muddy and got blown up. And I can see on your face that you have feelings about this. For folks listening, Kylie has visible feelings about it. What's coming up for you?
This is something that I have written extensively on. And I even like one of my last YouTube videos is like, are you even a coach at all? Like,
do you even coach, bro?
Do you even coach, bro? Exactly. It's like, you're actually, you're calling yourself a coach, but you're actually a consultant, or you're actually a mentor, or you're actually a marketing educator. Like, get your fucking nouns right. You know, like, I don't have any feelings about this at all. I'm very
nothing
chill.
Charged about that for you.
Very chill about this, because I think that like there's something very fundamental that becomes confusing when people start conflating one term with the other, because then no one really knows what they're doing and no one really knows what they're buying. And so people think they're buying one thing and then they get something different, and nobody knows like where it goes awry. And it goes awry all the way back in the like definitions of terms. Like a coach to me is someone who asks questions and elicits the wisdom from the client. A consultant is someone who has expertise and gives advice to the client, right? A mentor, a consultant should have expertise that has qualifications like you do, right? You've got an MBA, like you're an incredible business coach because you have both expertise and experience, and you can mentor people and you can consult for people, and you're also a badass transformational coach. So you like the whole package, Michelle.
I'm glad you said it so I don't have to, because I don't want to be a wanker and say these things about myself. So it's good that you're saying them for me. Thank you.
But you're amazing.
No,
you're amazing. But so few people have all of those skills. So you know how to seamlessly switch between consulting, coaching, facilitation, teaching, training, education. You know what you're being in any one moment. And so that creates great results. But people who are mentoring, so giving advice based on their lived experience, which is valuable, like all of these things are valuable in and of themselves. But when we conflate one with the other, like there's all sorts of problems that come from that. And now people are like, oh, there's a trust recession in the coaching industry. No shit. There's been a competence recession for the last 15 fucking years. Like, Jesus Christ. There's a trust recession? Yeah, no shit. Like, people have been doing the wrong thing by people for a very long time. Of course, people don't trust coaches anymore. Ugh.
Well, you are one of the rare folks who has been able to leverage your amazing skill. And I mean, 23 years of coaching is a lot of fucking coaching people. I've been coaching for 10 years and I feel like I've been doing it forever. That is
Long
a lot
time.
of reps and a lot of experience. And you have been able to parlay that into financial success because you are also one of the highest priced coaches in the world. I'm saying that because this is the Delusional Show and we talk about how entrepreneurs get rich and scale their business. But you have managed to figure out how to make a lot of money doing something that you are amazing at. And I will say best in the world. I believe that too. I have been coached by a lot of people and you are the best person that has ever coached me. You're amazing. And you managed to get in with this kind of marketing bro or tech bro kind of segment of folks who have a lot of money, A, and B, like trust you to coach them. And we've been talking about this lately because it's interesting. Sometimes there is gender stuff in coaching. I know that as a coach, if I say I'm a coach, the next question is often, oh, so you work with women? And I go, no, I work with everybody. I have a niche in politics, but I work with people of all genders, all races, all ages in politics. For you, you're working with, you work with everybody too, but you're working with a lot of guys and they trust you and they have never, maybe they have, you tell me, but I've never heard anybody say, oh, Kylie's a coach for women because she's a woman. And in fact, you managed to be like quite feminine and quite a woman. And these guys are so responsive to you and they're like, here, Kylie, take my money and fix me. And then let me tell all my bro friends that you need, that you all need to go talk to Kylie. And now you're getting some really cool notoriety. You were just on a very big deal podcast this week. That's what you came to Austin to do. I won't blow it up unless you want to. But
Thank
Kylie's
you.
You're about to see Kylie everywhere. She is blowing up. So how did you do it? How'd you get into the boys club without over masculinizing yourself? I think I just made that word up. But I feel like for a lot of women that manage to kind of get into the boys club in their career, it's at the expense of our feminine and our femininity. And we're kind of trying to be one of the guys. I don't really have that phase in my own career in politics. How did you avoid that? Or did you go through that phase or tell us about that?
I don't think I did. I think when I was a kid, I had there was one birthday party I had where the only people, like all of my friends that came to my birthday party were boys. Mm-hmm. And we spent maybe it was like my 14th birthday party or my 13th or something. And we spent, maybe it was younger, maybe it was 12. It was probably before puberty. And we spent the time climbing trees and crawling along the river and riding horses and stuff. And, we went to McDonald's in the back of my mum's horse truck and flicked ice cream out the back of the windows and stuff like that. But I've always gotten on well with both boys and girls, men and women. And I don't know, how did I do it? Let me think about it. Well, first I was coaching women for weight loss because that was kind of my niche that came from my lived experience. And people ask me, hey, how did you do
only that? Coaching women when you were a weight loss.
I was only coaching women, although I had a program called Goddess Body Quest, and the idea is be the goddess, and then you express your goddess energy and then your body just kind of follows suit. But I actually had a couple of men that were like, please, can I join your Goddess Body Quest weight loss program? So I did. I was like, well, you're and I asked the ladies, I was like, would you mind if these couple of guys, they really want to come into the program? Is that okay? So I'd be like, hey, ladies, and James and Trent. How you guys doing? And so even when I was running a program for women, there were still some guys that were attracted into my program, which is hilarious. But, it's it was a mindset program, really. But then I did 10 years of that. And then people started asking me, oh, how can I do what you do? And so then I was like, oh, okay, it's probably time for me to do my trainer's training. And so then I did my NLP trainer's training so I could qualify other coaches. And I was determined not to do that until I had some experience and some expertise and something unique to say, rather than just regurgitating the training that I had only just learned. So I did prac and master prac and all the trainings. And then I did thousands of reps. And then I did my trainer's training. And then I ran coach trainings for a few years. And then this is how it happened. Then I came across the Spiral, which was, I was on the board of the Australian Board of NLP, and I was helping with the kind of regulation and continuing education. And I came across this wild guy on the internet called Dane, and he was is a self-proclaimed wizard. And he invented this thing called the Spiral. And it was like a synthesis of spiral dynamics and the chakra system from the Vedas and levels of consciousness. And it used muscle testing and acupressure points. And I was like, this is amazing. It's got all these things. It's a synthesis. It's a meta map. I love it. And so I interviewed Dane because he was like really polarizing on the internet at the time, where not many people were being polarizing on the internet, and he was getting a lot of kind of traction. And I was like, this guy, like, he can come and shake up our NLP community, because people were being a bit safe. And so I really connected well with Dane on that interview. And then I was like, I'm going to go do your training. So I did his training, and NLP is really good with mind and mental body and emotional body. Right? Mental and emotional is really good with that stuff. And you can change a lot by just shifting your mind and your emotions. Mm-hmm. But the Spiral work includes spiritual and energetic and somatic, like your physical body. And so by adding those pieces in and doing this kind of clearing work on a really multidimensional level, things just started kind of opening up in a whole new way. And so then I was like, wow, I kind of recognized that I was really good at what I was doing. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't just be training coaches. Maybe I should also be working with entrepreneurs and kind of higher ticket coaching. I was like, well, I'm really good at this one-on-one. If I'm helping someone who is a stay-at-home mom with her weight loss, that's, going to have a certain return on investment for her and a certain ability to invest. But if I'm using the same skills and applying it in a different area, the return on investment for my client could be so much greater. So it's worth more for them to invest a higher level. So I was like, think about this. So I thought about that. And I had also, I think a part of it is paying the door fee. In my nightclub days, I learned that, I went as, do you have the word punter in America?
Like a bouncer?
No, a punter is in Australian terminology, a punter is someone who's just going an attendee to an event, like a regular person.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Okay, so as a regular punter, as you would say in Australia, you have to pay the door fee to get into the club. And then I learned that as the singer, I don't have to pay the door fee. I get paid to go in, and I just go to the front of the line and I'm like, hey, I'm singing tonight. And they just let me straight in. And so when I first started kind of being like, I need to learn a bit more about business, I paid the door fee, right? I joined some of the expensive masterminds, and I'm lucky that my NLP trainer also introduced me, and kind of we have a shared trainer with one of the best educators for coaches, marketing educators for coaches, business coach for coaches, marketing educator for coaches.
Don't get me on my shit about what's a business coach either.
I know, right? So one of the best in the world marketing educators for coaches, Taki Moore.
Mm-hmm. Love you, Talks.
Love you, Talks, is one of my friends and has been for a really long time. So we've just known each other around Sydney and kind of, in the personal growth scene. And so I joined his mastermind, and then I joined a couple of other things as well. But Taki and I have kind of had this parallel journey. He's behind a lot of great business successes when they figure out their marketing. And so I just kind of got connected with this crew of more strategic coaches who have this kind of different entrance into coaching, which is what I said from the beginning. Is like they kind of have this expertise or they've done something for themselves and then they help people how to do it. And so I started to see these recurring problems in the colleagues in the mastermind. And I'm like, maybe I could help some of these people that have not gone through maybe necessarily some of those deep transformational experiences. And I started to work with people around that. And then Taki obviously knows what I do. And so he very kindly has referred a bunch of people to me. And I just kind of built my confidence there in like, oh, I can really help someone and I can help them grow their business without needing to give them any business advice, just by helping them unlock their like mental handbrakes and their emotional blocks and their somatic blocks and stuff like that. And when it's like,
I want to pause you for a second because I want to highlight a couple of things that you just said there. One, I will say, as a business coach, as somebody with an MBA, as someone who works on the strategy and the spreadsheets and everything else, 99% of success in business is being able to regulate your emotions, regulate your nervous system so that you can make rational decisions and get past your blocks that, the overwhelm, the anxiety, the fear, and all the stuff that tells you not to do the things that you need to do in order to get ahead in business. Because the strategy piece is kind of obvious. I mean, maybe it's more obvious to me than other people. That's fair. And the strategy piece is there, and it's 99% of you're just afraid to do what the spreadsheet says to do or what the strategy is. And what Kylie did is she got herself in the right room. And everybody likes to think of success like it's this, straight linear diagonal line up, like it's just a straight up on the graph. And that, well, yeah, there's the ups and downs, but also it's kind of flat, and then there's inflection points, and then you go that hockey stick that you talk about in startup culture. Sometimes that's about just you get in the right room, you meet the right person, you have the right conversation. Some of it is right place, right time, and some of that is luck. But some of that is I make sure I'm in the room. I make sure I'm in a lot of different rooms. I make sure I am talking to a lot of different people. And somebody that's putting themselves out there like that is a lot more likely to get lucky than somebody who's sitting at home avoiding any kind of growth experience. So yeah, you paid the door fee. And the door fee has now had a tremendous ROI for you over the course of 7, 8 years.
Crazy ROI. I've had a much, this is funny. I have a much better ROI from paying the door fee for masterminds, from just being in the room and connecting with people and talking to people. Not that I'm like actively fishing for clients, but just like just talking to people and connecting. And then they're like, oh my God, like, you could really help me. And then they ask. But I've had a much better ROI from the connections and the networking that I make by being in the rooms than any of the things that I learn in the content of said masterminds, So I go for the networking really more than anything else.
And it's like just one of the most magnetic people I've ever met. And that's saying something because I've worked in politics for the last 25 years. We got some magnetic motherfuckers in politics. But you have this magnetism to you that's unlike anything I've ever seen, to the point where I get annoyed sometimes when we're together because I'm like, I'm here too. And everybody's like, Kylie. And I'm like, I want to be magnetic like Kylie. But like, did you cultivate that deliberately? Were you born with that? Like, how did you become so magnetic?
Well, thank you.
You can't say it about yourself, then you'd be a wanker.
Well, I mean, I don't even notice it. Like, I just notice that things move smoothly for me in life a lot of the time, and I just kind of, I guess a core belief that I have is that would underpin this magnetism is that, that everybody could be my friend, like if I just get to know someone, they could be my friend. And I have a curiosity about people. And so I find that I think people find you magnetic when you're curious about them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk to people, my other friend Bianca, her husband said like, I think the most true thing as a reflection of me, he's like, oh yeah, Kylie gives you that stare like you're the only person in the whole universe. And when she talks to you, you feel like the most important person in the world. And I think that's partially being a projector. I think it's partially having grown up as a performer and like learning how to like emanate my energy. I don't know, maybe it's some soul gifts that I got from some past life shit or something. But and then also like just a hell of a lot of energy work. Like I have done a lot of energy work over the years. I've done a lot of healing work. And what I've discovered is that the more healing work you do, the more you just kind of have this free energy around you. So you become like this little energy, auric field that people like, ooh, energy, let's go around this person. It's like, it's kind of, people like being around me because I'm kind of bubbly and upbeat and I'm very curious about other people. And, I'm nice to be around, I guess, but I'm curious about people. And I do feel like, everybody's got a really interesting story to share and everybody's got some like unique gift inside them. And I just love like discovering that. And so I think people like to talk about themselves.
Absolutely.
So when you ask good questions, people are like, oh, that person's so great. What do you know about her? Oh, I don't know, but she's really great. You're just listening. You're just asking.
I think what you're saying is two sides of the same coin, because when you have done a lot of energy work, when you're very regulated, when you're able to be very authentic, you're not going around all self-conscious and like worried about yourself and what do people think of me and whatever, which of course is the poison to being magnetic. Like the second you want it, we all know this. The second you want anything, it repels it. So if you're attached to like, I need people to like me, then you're not going to be yourself. You're going to be kind of weird and people probably aren't going to like you as much. Whereas if you're like out of your own head because you're chill, you regulated your own nervous system and you're cool, then you have the brain space and the energetic space to just go in and be curious about other people. Cause it's like, I'm good with me. Like, who are you? What's going on with you? What do you want to talk about? And then you can be locked in and focused. And I love that. I think it's all the same thing.
I 100% agree. I think I did a training on this a little while back for some people, and when you're training, you try and like come up with little pithy phrases of like catchy things that people will remember. And it's like, I think the most interesting person in the room is the most interested person in the room. And if you're interested in people, people will find you interesting. It's one of those like weird paradoxes where you give what you want to get kind of thing. Not that you're going in to get, it's like you're going in just because you genuinely are interested. Like it's got to be sincere. You can't kind of trick yourself and be like, I'm going to be really interested and then people are going to love me. It's like you need to just like deal with your own insecurities and then go in and just genuinely be curious. And then people are like, oh my God, who is that person?
Yeah. Interested and interesting. We used to call it inspired and inspiring, very, very similar concept, but it's like, you're not inspiring unless you're actually inspired. And if you're in a shitty mood and you want to turn on your camera and be like, I'm going to inspire some people today, like it ain't going to work, sister. You gotta, it's an inside job first. And that is why people like you and I sometimes will spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours getting our energy right before we even interact, before we even turn on the camera. If y'all see me gone for a few days, it's like I'm just dealing with myself, and not subjecting everybody else to my luteal phase or whatever's going on with me.
Stay off the internet when you're in a bad state.
In your luteal phase, ladies, or people with uteruses or whatever. Anyone that's got a cycle with a luteal phase, stay off the internet when you're on it. Kylie, I could talk to you for 17 hours and want to record all of it. And yet we are coming to time on this episode. So for folks listening, our audience on the Delusional podcast is a lot of people with big dreams who are trying to figure out how they too can be like you and become the best whatever in the world and make lots of money and do the things they love all the time and have the family they want to have and everything else. What is your best advice for somebody who's just starting out on their personal growth journey, starting out on their entrepreneurial journey, wants to become something different?
Yeah. There's so many kind of frameworks and techniques and things that we could go into, but I think that like boiling it down to the simplest essence is, your dreams are on the other side of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So get courageous and practice being courageous. because courage is really the tipping point that gets you out of your own shit and into creating something, because in order to be courageous, I mean, you've probably heard this before, but like courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of fear or with fear or overcoming fear. It's like the fear is still there, but you just go, I'm going to go for it anyway, because there's something that is a vision that leads me that is greater than that fear. And so when your vision is greater than your fear, then you can overcome anything. And, I think courage and compassion are really keys, like having that courage to get out there and, pay the door fee and put yourself in. Like I came here to Austin, you came to meet me. This is my third time now in Austin, but like I put myself in situations where it's like, ooh, it's a little bit anxious to like go on a trip overseas by myself and do these things. So it takes a little bit of courage, but good things are on the other side of courage. And have compassion with yourself along the journey, because it is going to be a roller coaster and there are going to be hard times and you are going to get like knocks sometimes. And that's a part of it. Like that doesn't mean don't do it. That means like, if you want to get religious about it, like God is forging you. If you want to like take it from a shadow work perspective, it's like it's showing you something that you need to integrate or, work through or deal with so that you can become the person who can live in the reality that you are dreaming of for yourself. It's like we don't have dreams unless we have the resources to achieve them, and sometimes that resource is just resourcefulness. Like I've got no resources, but I've got a lot of resourcefulness, and I'm going to figure it out. That's right. So courage and compassion, like meet life. I think as well, it's like having that trust that life has got your back in some way, that even, every dark cloud has a silver lining, that every bad thing has a positive lesson in it. Like all of those kind of trite sayings, they actually have meaning behind them. And the more that you can kind of internalize, hey, even though I might be going through a hard time, how can I turn this to my advantage? How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can this forge me to make me stronger? That kind of attitude will get you through anything. And, you just have to stay in it longer than anybody else and you'll be successful.
Amen. We always say, look, the only way to fail in business is to quit. And that's not even a failure if that's really what you wanted to do. So, Kylie, tell our friends where they can find you on the internet. If you want to know more about the best coach in the world or even work with the best coach in the world, I hope you have money in your wallet if you want to work with her. But if you want to work with Kylie or learn more about Kylie or follow her online, which is free, where can they find you, Kylie?
You can find me on the internet on Instagram. I am KylieRyan.mmc, which is my mind coach. I've got many websites, but the one that you can just find me on is KylieRyan.com. That's the easiest one to remember. It's my name, just KylieRyan.com. And I'm around on the internet. If you just search for me, I'll be there. You don't need to I can give you all my URLs. You just Google me or AI me or whatever. Ask about it and say, hey, I heard Kylie Ryan's the best coach in the world. Where can I find her?
Yes, everybody say that to Claude until it believes. I'm over here grooming my Claudes all day, every day. If you want to follow me, you can find me everywhere at Michelle to Scale on all social media platforms. And please follow us at the Delusional Pod. And if you want to hang out with us more, we have a Facebook group going at the Delusional Movement on Facebook. You can come hang out with me and Kylie and all of our delusional friends. Delusional Movement group on Facebook. Come and join us and come hang out and be in conversation with us every day. Kylie Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure to podcast with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for running this podcast and supporting people to believe in their dreams. And, I think a lot of people feel like their dreams are delusional because they're just in an environment where then maybe not being supported. And so I love that you are supporting people with dreams that are just visionary dreams that they might think are delusional, but are actually quite possible, So I'm so glad.
You think it's delusional, but it's not. You can act. The more delusional you get, the more likely it is you're actually going to do it. Thank you, Kylie. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. We will see you next time.